Hi, welcome to Energetic Self-Defense. This is Grace Hart here, and today I have the question for you. Are you creating or destroying your life? Now, you've probably heard me say a lot that we tend to, no matter what's coming up, whether we're negotiating something, creating something, or dealing with a problem, we tend to go into not listening very much and looking at it from a perspective of I'm right, or how can I get them, agendas basically. And what I'd love to invite you to is get the energetic self-defense of what can we create here? Imagine if you had an issue with your partner or your kids or someone at work, and you came to that with the energetic self-defense of not rightness and wrongness, not polarity, not competition. Because whenever there's someone is right, there's always someone that's wrong. And what does that truly create? So this week, what I'd love you to do, no matter what area of your life, what if you came to it with an energy of what can we create here? Because you already know what the problem is. You don't need to talk about the problem and make them feel bad. You acknowledge whatever it is. Hey, I've noticed that you've been late this week quite a few times. And even I'm noting quite a few times. Is there an energy on that? So really get aware of when you're saying things. And I'm delivering energies with my words. So hopefully you can pick it up. So if you were someone that, tried to say it the nice way, but the energy is you're late and you've been late and I'm really annoyed with that, for example, they're going to pick it up. Because energy is the first language. But if you came to them with a spacious energy of creation to say, hey, beautiful, or hey, if it's your partner, or if it's a colleague, hey, whoever that is, it's like, hey, I'd love to create something with you. What can we create together? Like, what's required to create it that you can have ease coming into work on time? And when you are in that creative mode, not trying to make them wrong or buying into the frustration or whatever it is, if you came to them with kindness and they felt safe, secure and supported, and you talked about, what is it that you need to create this? I really need you to show up for work on time. How can I help you create that? What's going on? And then they can come up and say to you, oh, I've got a sick child, or the car's, I'm having to join a carpool because the car's out at the moment. Because generally speaking, people don't choose things for no reason. So yes, psychopaths just choose it because they choose it. But generally speaking, if someone was always on time and then they're late a lot, or they were happy and now they're not, or they were bringing in their targets and now they're not. Instead of going into that's wrong, look at what can we create. And part of that creation might be that person wants to quit, or you realize that they're not a fit with the culture, or whatever it is. But again, how can you create with that? How can you actually create a conversation where they feel safe, secure and supported and empowered to choose for them? And that might be leaving. So whatever shows up for you this week, whether it's something wonderful that you'd like to create even greater, like say you've got a great, beautiful partner or a career that you love. If you brought the energies of creation into it, how much greater can it be? And I talk about autopilot. There's the standard response. If someone's behaving inappropriately, well, then you've got to react this way. Going into the right and the wrong. And so I'm really just inviting you to look at not the numbers or the thinking or the autopilot response. I'm asking you to look at creation and generation and kindness, and creating a space where people are safe, secure and supported, no matter what's going on, whether it's something amazing that you would love to inspire them to be greater, or whether there's a problem that you'd like to actually create something that's going to work for both of you. It's possible, but it's unlikely if that person is feeling wrong or they're having to justify or defend. Because the minute you do that, you've lost all possibilities and you're in the battle. And that's not kind to anyone or anything. So this week, it's a quickie. I would just like you to come to everything with what can be created here that I don't even think or know is possible. Or if you're having to have an uncomfortable conversation, what energies can I bring to this conversation to create that safety, security, and support for us all? And just be really aware of destruction energies, like you're wrong, I'm right, good, bad, polarity. And if you say something that has an edge to it, be vulnerable and say, wow, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it to come out that way. That's something I need to deal with. Or whatever it is, be honest. There's such a potency and kindness in vulnerability. And half the time, people just really feel like they need to be validated, seen, heard, appreciated. And so you caring about why someone's late all the time, for example, that's going to have a completely different effect on the person than you coming up saying, hey, I've noticed you've been late all week. And you can use the same words. Hey, I've noticed you've been, coming in late all week. Are you okay? Because that's opening it up. There's no competition in that statement. That the energies, there's no, funniness to it. And you can say the exact same words and now I'll deliver a different energy with the same words. Hey, so-and-so, you've been late all week. Can you see? You can use the exact same words, but one energy is of kindness and genuine caring because something must be up for you to be late. And I'm interested, I care. And the other one is I'm really annoyed. I've noted you've been late. It's not okay. Bad boy, bad girl, you're wrong. I'm right, I'm superior. What does that create? So this week, that's what I'd love you to focus on when you're speaking. Are you in generation? Are you in creation? Or are you using energies with your words or even your words that are going to create destruction? And be aware of that. Remember, validating someone's experience doesn't say that they're right or you're wrong, or it's just validating. I can see you're upset. I'm really sorry about that. That doesn't mean you caused it or you're wrong or they're right. Let's get away from the polarity and let's start to look at what is going to be created or what can be created. So if someone's upset, say, hey, I see you're upset. What's going on? There's no right or wrong in that statement or energy. And it takes courage. To be a leader, it takes courage because you're going to be dealing with different energies being thrown at you, and it's your job. And when I say job, it's important for you to be in awareness of how to respond to these energies. Because sometimes when someone says something, it is accurate. You do need to shift and change something. But likewise, you don't need to go into the wrongness of you. You can say, wow, yeah, I can see that didn't create. I'm really sorry about that when I said that or did that. I won't do that again. And now what can we create if that ever, if that situation arose? What would you like to see happen? Oh, I'd like you to respond this way. And if it's something that's, easy for you to do it. Because remember, it's not always about, we like to impose our will on others. In other words, we treat people how we want to be treated. But in actual fact, it's super important to get very clear on how they want to be treated. It might be completely different to you. You might like to talk things out openly. They might hate that. They might prefer email correspondence. So it's really important to pay attention, read the room, and be aware of when you're speaking, is there an energy there that's destructive? Are you on autopilot? What if you got out of the autopilot seat, turn the autopilot off, turn that button off, and actually start to drive your car? And part of that is being willing to look at what energies you're creating with. When you're speaking to people, what words are you using and what are the energy behind those words? I had a Zoom class today on Trauma Transformer, and we were talking about those people that just, I was just being sarcastic. I was just being funny, when the energy wasn't that at all. So be aware and be willing to be vulnerable enough to say, I messed up. I'm really sorry. I won't do that again. And then don't do it again. Because we're all, we're all capable of mistakes. But when you go into defending or justifying or the fight, that's the autopilot of insanity as far as I'm concerned, because it's a beautiful moment for creation. And unfortunately, not enough people are willing to have these vulnerable conversations. It does take courage. However, the gift of those conversations is beyond anything you can imagine. And what could get created in a relationship or a business partnership or whatever it is outstanding. And when I say created, I'm talking about it could be a problem and you create great from it. I was listening or reading some research with surgeons and who gets sued and why. And they found out, surprise, surprise, the surgeons, because they all make mistakes. We all make mistakes, right? But the surgeons who truly cared about their patients, their suing rate was substantially lower and in some non-existent. Because people don't generally want to sue. But if they've been invalidated, made wrong, ignored, and so that surgeon's, what is that surgeon creating? Now, if you're a surgeon who is not very good at talking to people, hire someone. Hire someone that has that. Because you can be a brilliant surgeon, awesome. But if you can't give that patient that validation, be vulnerable to say, hey, I'm really not good at communication. And so I've got, this person in to talk as well. To just make sure you're okay. Make sure that you're heard and that, we've answered all your questions. Because I can get so focused on the technicality because my job is the surgeon. So even that works because you're being vulnerable. You're saying, this is not my skill. My skill is surgery. And some surgeons have that innate, empathy. And that's great. If you've got that, you don't need to have anyone else, However, also choose the culture. Choose your receptionist. Choose your nurses to have the skills that you don't, where you're lacking. So it's the same with whatever you're doing, relationship, business. You're going to have less problems if you're willing to be vulnerable and you're willing to create a space where it's safe, secure and supported for you to be you and for them to be who they are. And then if you do have to deal with something like being sued or whatever, come at it from what can we create and generate. Don't come at it from how dare you sue me or how, this is terrible, this is wrong and, this is what the world's come to and I'm just going to quit. What is that generating and creating? That's autopilot. So have a look at it and maybe be brave and courageous enough to have these vulnerable conversations because they are liquid gold, my friend. They are the most beautiful, generative, kind thing that you can do for you, let alone the world. And as I said, magic gets created when you're willing to have these uncomfortable, vulnerable conversations. And yes, sometimes when you have them, you become aware that the person that you're speaking to isn't kind, isn't someone you want on your culture or, in your company or as a friend or whatever it is. And that's great. That vulnerability gave you that information. But don't go into rightness and wrongness like, yeah, I knew it. See, they're not right. No, that again, autopilot. It's like, thank you for that information, you know, in your inside voice. And then what can we generate and create? Because it's not going to work for me with the information I've got. It's not going to work for me for us to be friends, or it's not going to work for me for whatever it is. And if you can safely communicate that, great, communicate it. But if there's risk to your life or whatever, of course, you need to get some help with that. Get yourself safe. So please look this week at when you're speaking, when you're being, when you're communicating with everyone, including yourself. Are you being destructive? Or are you being generative? Are you on autopilot? Or are you creating? And as I said, it takes courage, but man, oh man, when you're willing to have that heart-connected, vulnerable conversation, whether it's creating something beautiful or asking someone out for this first time or saying no to somebody, whatever it is, you can create it. It doesn't have to go on default. Okay, take care and I'll catch you next week. Bye.